Right, today we're going to continue with our study of SD 48.1. We'll look at sections 3.7 and 3.8, dealing with the passing away of the Buddha and the Arhats. It's a very interesting topic. How do the Arhats pass away? Of course, there is a puzzle here. It is the way the Buddha passed away, as described in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Let's begin with this very interesting event. The way the Buddha passes away is well documented in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta D16. In fact, the Buddha goes through what is called the 9 successive abodes, Anupupa Vihara. These are the 4 form dhyanas, and then the 4 formless dhyanas, and then number 9 is the cessation of feeling and perception. The last stage, the 9th stage, is sometimes simply called attainment of perception. Essentially, this is what we might commonly know as a kind of a suspended animation, if you like, or stasis. According to the measurements of modern medicine, this person in deep stasis, in this state of nirodha or cessation, has no signs of life at all. No heartbeat, no brainwave, no breath, and so on. So, in other words, according to modern standards, the person is technically dead. But after a certain time, within a week, definitely, this person is able to come out of stasis, come back to the normal state. Only Buddhas, Arhats, and some non-returners are able to attain this very high state. At least that's what the text tells us. So that's the 9th stage. So according to the Mahaparinibbana Sutta D16, section 6.8, this is found in SD9. When the Buddha is going to pass away, he goes into deep meditation. So he goes into jhana, first jhana, second, third, fourth, and he goes on into the 4 formless jhanas, that is the base of infinite space, the base of infinite consciousness, the base of nothingness, and then the base of neither perception nor non-perception. And then he comes down from that kind of reverse sequence, and he goes down to the first jhana again, and then he goes back upwards, second, third, and he reaches the 4th jhana, and he passes away in the 4th jhana. So this is a very interesting sequence we have here, one whole cycle of it, and then back to stage 1, back to the 4th jhana, and he passes away. Now, what is even more interesting, there is no explanation for this. The first thing we might ask ourselves, how do we know this? Here, according to the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, it is the Arahat Anuruddha who is our commentator, if you like, the person who is kind of observing this, following the Buddha's mental states. Because Anuruddha has got this great ability of psychic power, is able to follow the minds of others. And so he's the one telling Ananda, and then it's all recorded in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Now, the question is, why did the Buddha pass away in the 4th jhana? Why not in the higher realms, in the higher stages of meditation? Of course, the answers I'm giving here are purely speculative. We don't really know maybe you might say, well, the Buddha just wants to do it. There's no particular reason that someone like the Buddha will do something. I mean, just like, if you see a great saint, everything that the saint does, you might think, oh, there must be some significance. We don't really know. So this is one of those mysteries where we don't have fixed answer. On the other hand, it's not really important that we have a fixed answer, right answer either, because it's not really essential for our practice. But of course, as Dharma students, we're quite curious, we want to know why. So let me venture an explanation. I think there are two possible reasons for this. The first is the nature of the physical body of the Buddha, and so as we know, the Buddha is enlightened, is awakened, but his body is still there. His mind is fully awakened, the normal defilements, normal karma there. But his body is still the physical body. In other words, the aggregates are there, the form aggregate is all there, and his senses are functioning, so to speak. So the nature of the body is such that it cannot pass away in the higher realms. So the second reason is where the explanation is that so the Buddha has to come out of the formless dhyana. Now, as you know, the formless dhyana is a beautiful, deep state of meditation where this meditator is kind of like fixed in this wonderful situation where even in the fourth stage, where consciousness is so subtle, we can't say whether it exists or not exists. So in other words, in that kind of state, technically speaking, death cannot occur. Of course, some intelligent student may ask the question, why doesn't the Buddha stay there and kind of eternally exist in that kind of state? Well, the simple answer is not possible, because somehow there's like a time limit, so to speak. At the most, any human being can stay in such a state is 7 days. The body needs nourishment, so the person will come back. So anyway, so the Buddha has to come down to the form jhanas, and at least in the form jhana, there is some consciousness there, and the remnants of his consciousness, if you like, and he's able to pass away there, so to speak. Again, as I said, these are speculative answers. Another possible explanation is that it's not something willfully done at every stage. It's more like a momentum of the Buddha's will. Let me go into another story of how Ananda passes away. Now, Ananda, as you know, has devotees on both sides of his clan, on the Sakya side and the Kolya side, so that they are all very devoted to him. And he thought to make them happy when he dies, he would let them share the relics. Because in those days, apparently, wars can start over relics. People are awakened, so they like to have some kind of material memory, material remains of some holy saint. So what Ananda did was he went to deep meditation, and then, of course, he probably told everybody, the Sakyas and the Kolyas, who are living on the two banks of the river Rohini. So Ananda, the story goes, he goes into deep meditation, he rises into the air, and then by his willpower, he goes into this fire kasina and goes into self-compassion, a kind of self-cremation, if you like. And by his sheer willpower, in other words, he kind of like makes up his mind, and then the momentum takes the rest, carries on. So he burns himself out in his self-combustion, and his relics split and separate into two parts, and so the story goes. Now this is not found in the sutta, this is a commentarial account. So his relics kind of fell neatly on both sides for the two parties, the two clans, to keep and worship it. Up to them what you want to do with it. So in other words, here probably this is what the Buddha did. He went into deep meditation, and he like telling himself, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and he gets into this state, and his mind goes through all these stages of meditation, and then comes down, and then the energy is all gone in the fourth dhyana. So these are some of the possible explanations. But the simplest is we can say is that he has a physical body, and this physical body needs a kind of a lower jhana to pass away, the remnants of his mind. So this is one possible interesting explanation, and hopefully some other wise monk or nun one day can give us a better explanation. So the saints often pass away in some very interesting way. Now let's go back a little bit, and this is section 3.8. The breaking up of the body, the death of the body, is often mentioned in a phrase which reads, with the body's breaking up after death. Kaya bedasa paramarana. Kaya bedasa, the body is breaking up. Paramarana, after death. So here, what is it that breaks up here? It's the five aggregates: form, feeling, perception, formation, consciousness. Or you can even say that the body breaks up first. And with the body breaking up, because the body here will be physical. But again, in Pali very often a body can simply mean a collection of things, so you can refer to all the five aggregates even. So in other words, the aggregates break up, the body breaks up. With the body breaking up, consciousness has no more footing. In other words, there's no sensing, so the consciousness has no more footing, and this consciousness has to move on. So once this consciousness moves on, it's called paramarana, after death. And the consciousness has to find a new footing. In other words, consciousness cannot function by itself, so to speak. It needs something to be conscious of in order to function. So this consciousness will move on and look for a new body according to the karma of the person. Of course, we have another problem here. There are cases, there are stories where this consciousness remains in between rebirths because there's no suitable body or suitable state, being that this consciousness can find a footing. So here, what is told in the suttas is that this consciousness in the intermediate state is kept going by its craving. Now, of course, what is interesting here, this consciousness in the intermediate state has no physical body to rely on, so it can't really function. It's just like almost like a consciousness in stasis, and yet it's still kind of, you might say, fundamentally aware of what's going on. But it's not a very happy state because it's like a dream state. You know, we know hazily something is going on, but there's nothing we can do about it. So that kind of situation. So it's a special state in this case. This consciousness is kind of like neither here nor there, it's in between, waiting to find a suitable body to be reborn in. And we can see this intermediate state more like something that is holding back the consciousness rather than keeping it stable, so to speak. In other words, this person who has passed away still has attachment to previous place of existence, the previous life, and so on. So it's this craving that keeps this being stuck in the intermediate state. Whereas in the case of the saints, they will be reborn immediately. They'll find a new happy birth in the next life. So this is another interesting mystery we can contemplate and do research in the suttas. So it is the fire aggregates that break up, and then the consciousness has normal footing, it moves on and looks for a new suitable body or suitable being to be reborn in. Now the next we have another story similar to Ananda. This is a famous story of the monk Bakula. This is in section 3.8.2. 3.2. Now Bakula, the story of Bakula is quite late actually. It could have been composed after the Buddha's time. Bakula lives to a very long age, and he's such a serious practitioner, a very independent practitioner. He decided never to have need of any help from anyone. So he's like totally independent. Even his robes, he picks up all these little pieces of rags and he will stitch them together and make his own robe. I suppose the only thing that he depends on others would be his alms food. He collects alms food. And he basically stays by himself. So his story, in other words, is that of a monk who's very serious with his Dhutanga practice, his strict practices. He's totally on his own and is capable of doing that. And in fact, he's so independent that even when he dies, he doesn't want to trouble anyone. And this is one very interesting story, an interesting case of a monk who actually invites his colleagues to his own funeral. Now, being an arahat, a saint, he more or less knows when he's going to die. He's very old, probably 160, I think. So he tells it one day or one night, or he goes to all the cell doors and start knocking and says, "Brother, please come at such a time to this place. I'm going to pass away." So this is a very special occasion. Instead of inviting people for your birthday, you invite people for your death day. So when the monks are gathered, he gets into deep meditation, and then he goes into self-compassion, passes away. So it's a really grand way to go. All his life he has been independent. Even when he passes away, he does not trouble anyone. So one can imagine this kind of story being told to the monks. So these are stories to inspire the monks to be independent, not to be afraid to live by yourself, and to be truly a good monk in that sense. So of course this is the idea of a monk, which is very different from that of the world. So here is where we see a monk living apart from the world. Of course, these are special cases for those monks who are inclined to live in this way. Most of the monks will be very good teachers. They will interact with the lay people to support and teach them. So there are different lifestyles, if you like, that a monk can choose. So just before we close now, so let's look a bit at the nature of consciousness of someone who is dying. So as we have said, death occurs when the body starts to fail to support all the vital bodily functions. For some reason, the physical body fails. Maybe the heart stops, or some kind of vital organ stops functioning. So the body is not permanent because it's physical. Whereas consciousness, being non-physical, being immaterial, kind of exists, moves on. We can even say provisionally that consciousness is, in a sense, eternal. Consciousness doesn't die, and that's the problem. because consciousness stays on, we actually suffer. Some people who do not know the nature of suffering, they think, wow, isn't it great to live eternally? Okay, here let me just tell you a little story. In fact, it's one of those Star Trek series where on this planet there is this group of people. Because of the nature of the environment on this planet, these people do not die. In other words, they get killed. They get killed by their rival group, by this enemy group. They fight each other. It's almost like the devas and the asuras, they're fighting each other. So they get killed, and then they fall flat, and they die by our standards. And then after a while, their body regenerates. The atmosphere, the environment in that planet is such that their vital functions are regenerated. So they come back alive. And they go on with their daily duties and so on. And then again, these enemies will come and they fight each other. Some die, some here die, some on the other side die. And then again, they regenerate. So this went on for hundreds of years. Now you just imagine if this happens to you, and all you do is just fight and die, and then you regenerate, then you fight again, you die, you regenerate. After a while, you get tired of it, isn't it? And you say, wow, is that all I'm going to do? So they wish they could get out of this cycle. And this is a very Buddhistic theme. In fact, this is what's happening to us. We go on living almost, it seems, forever. And things keep repeating themselves. The problems keep repeating themselves. Even if good things happen to us again and again, after a while we say, is that all? And we get bored. So this is the problem here of samsara. So in the case of in the Buddhist teachings, this consciousness lives on. It needs footing. It must find some kind of situation where it can exist. And of course, in the case of human beings, consciousness functions through the five senses, and of course the sixth one is the mind itself. So this consciousness will move on. When the body dies, the consciousness moves on and looks for a footing somewhere. In the case of the Arahant, his karma is such that he does not create any new body anymore. Doesn't need to create a new body anymore. Now, just now I told you the story in that planet. This planet kind of regenerates the person's body. Now, in our case, although Earth does not regenerate our body, but there are other bodies which this consciousness can inhabit. So in a sense, the theme is similar. There is this regeneration of bodies and moving on, continuation of the consciousness. So this consciousness looks for a new body depending on the karmic nature of the person, and then it continues like that, life after life after life. So what makes us think life is worth living is our forgetfulness, our ignorance. We do not know what happened before. We do not know what's going to come next. So once we go into deep meditation and we are going to look and see the cycle of life, and then we say, oh, we've been doing this for so long, and this has been happening, repeating itself, and then you begin to realize, wow, it's actually quite tiresome. So this is the nature, this is the story of samsara, nature of how consciousness moves on. And here again, we come to another question is, how do we look at the situation? Of the situation when, say, someone has passed away, do we say this person still exists or not exists? Especially in the case with the Buddha, the case of the saints, and the Buddha say, well, there's no answer for this, don't think about it, because you're going to get yourself a lot of trouble. I mean, if you say the Buddha exists after death, then you get yourself into what's called the eternalist problem, the eternalist view that the Buddha is eternal. The view is wrong because there is no such thing. Or if you say the Buddha does not exist, then you fall into the the other camp to be what's called annihilationism. Like there's nothing, right? So that's the other extreme. It's just like the flame of a candle that's gone out. Where has it gone? It's gone nowhere. So this analogy is always there to remind us the flame has gone out for the Buddha, for the Arahats. You can't say they exist or not exist. This flame has gone out. So this is the nature of nirvana. So this is the saints, in other words, when they die, their consciousness is not established anywhere. And here we have accounts of Mara appearing and very eager to look for the consciousness of monks, of arahats who have passed away, hoping they would be reborn. And so you have the case of Godika, especially. This Mara appears and he flies around looking for the consciousness of Godika to see where it's reborn. And the Buddha says, you never find that consciousness because it has no more footing. The Arahat has entered final nirvana, so to speak. It's not going to be reborn, it's not going to be found anymore. So this is the wonderful teaching that Buddha has given us. To our mind, of course, this is not perfect because it's very difficult to conceive, much more difficult to explain this kind of situation. But it is more sensible, more interesting, even as a mystery, if you like, than talking about eternal heaven, eternal hell, and so on. So in other words, the way the Buddha describes the nature of death, whether it is of a human being or of the awakened one, the Arahat, the Buddha himself, they are themselves very interesting, worth thinking about, worth investigating. So now we close the study with a short reflection. As long as we live, this life is precious to us because this life is about learning things. We discover impermanence, and impermanence teaches us that the content of life, the people we care for, are precious to us. Our life also is the vehicle for attaining awakening. So reflecting in that way, we should value life so that we can use it wisely to move on towards awakening. Reflecting in this way is wonderful good karma. With the power of this karma, may we be blessed with courage and wisdom to aspire to attain stream winning in this life itself. By the same token, by the power of the three jewels, let us send out our loving kindness to all our loved ones, people we care for, and people who care for us. May they be well, may they be happy. And also those people who are practicing for the awakening, people who are practicing the Dhamma, may they be well and happy too. And those who are struggling with various difficulties, may they too see the true Dhamma in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.